Om Sri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. In Indian tradition and culture, we have a lot of sages. Those who served for the people of pious and devoted to God. They always seek the welfare of the devotees and those who are having deep devotion on God and their activities towards God and goddesses. Among them we can say proudly about the sage Vyasa, who was the root cause of composing Mahabharata, Puranas, Brahma Sutra, etc. Among them, we never forget, we always should remember the sage Sukha Maharshi, who was the son of Vedavyasa. The peculiarity of Sukha Maharshi is described in Puranas that he never withstand even for a single moment. He just appears when we twinkling our eyes. Such a great sage Sukha, whom we consider as a Digambara, always have deep devotion on his father Vedavyasa. Whenever Vedavyasa requires, he appears all of a sudden to fulfill the desires of his father. Such Sukha Maharshi, who preached or narrated Bhagavata to the king Parikshit, who got curse to die within 7 days by the serpent named Takshaka. During that time, the king was searching to get absolution, means moksha, salvation, within 7 days through listening the entire Bhagavata, who can complete within 7 days. Then he came to know that the sage Sukha, son of Vedavyasa, can fulfill his ambition and desire. When he entirely with deep devotion thought of the sage Sukha appeared before him and understood the inner feelings of the king Parikshit, who is repented for his deeds, what he had done ignorantly, and wanted to get salvation without wasting a minute within 7 days. The king never feared of death. Only during the death time, nearing the death time, he wanted to listen the entire story of Lord Krishna through Bhagavata, while narrating by the sage Sukha to attain moksha, means salvation. The sage Sukha understood the feelings of the king Parikshit and his ambiguity and ambition to attain, to get moksha so soon. That's why he accepted to complete Bhagavata within 7 days. That's why we used to call Bhagavata Saptahamu. That means entire Bhagavata can be completed within 7 days. That's a formula first maintained, first used by the sage Sukha Maharshi to the king Parikshit, whom he made to get salvation through listening the various descriptions and stories of Lord Krishna and his deeds. Or we can say Leelas, Krishna Leela Amrutam, he drank and attained salvation by the blessings and the grace of the sage Sukha Maharshi. Today, I took the topic of the sage Shuka Maharshi. We have to know the detailed description of the sage to understand the essence of Lord Krishna and his philosophy through him. Formally prayer. Vyasam Vasishtanaptaram Shakte Pautramakalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasisthaya Namo Namaha. Shuka Jayanti is the birth anniversary of Shuka Maharshi. It is observed on the Amavasya in the Vaishakha month. He was the only son and student of Vedavyasa with a perfect memory who was able to recite without any omissions the entire Bhagavata. Let us see his birth and background. Sage Shuka Maharshi was son of revered sage Vedavyasa and his wife Pinjala. Pinjala was also called Vatika. She was a daughter of the sage Jabali. Another version tells us that Vedavyasa's son was born in the forest of Shuka Maharshi Jatishri. There are many who believe that Shuka Maharshi's mother was not a lady of the Shuka Maharshi tribe, but a real parrot. According to the Mahabharata, after 100 years of austerity by Vedavyasa, Shuka was churned out of a stick of fire, born with ascetic power and with the Vedas dwelling inside him, just like his father. There are some interesting stories connected to his birth. According to some Puranas, he was born out of the Vedic pyre. When Vedavyasa was attracted to the Apsarsa named Gritachi and discharged his semen onto the wood sticks meant for Arani. It is one of the two ceremonial rubbing sticks used to ignite the sacrificial fire. And out of it a son was born. Gritaji flew away in the form of a parrot. Thus Shuka Maharshi got his name, which literally means parrot. Many a time he is illustrated as the sage with a parrot head. In some text, we can come across a story that tells us that Shuka Maharshi was in his previous birth the parrot of Radha during Krishna Avatara, Krishna's incarnation, who used to carry a message of Radha to her Lord Krishna. The connection, see. It is often quoted that Shuka Maharshi used to go into trance at the mention of the name Radha. Whenever he hears the word of Radha, immediately goes into trance. Deep meditation is called trance. So throughout the Bhagavatam, the name of Radha is almost not mentioned by him. And even if so, he does it in a very subtle manner, like calling her Radhasa. In this ISKCON book, there is a beautiful interpretation of the phrase Shri Shuka Maharshi Uvacha, which interprets it as Shriya Shuka Maharshi, Shuka Maharshi, parrot of Shri Radha. It also says that for one keeps those things which are dearest to him hidden. Such was Shuka Maharshi's approach to the name Radha throughout the Bhagavatam. Like oil hidden within mustard seeds or butter hidden within the milk, the glories Srimati Radhika are hidden within the Srimad Bhagavatam. So what a comparison given by Vedavyasa in Bhagavatam about the dearest lover and pet of Lord Krishna named Radha. Now continuing with the story, when it was a time for Radha to depart from this world, the parrot wanted to go along, but Radha told the parrot to stick around and she wouldn't be missed by him, because whenever the story of Radha and Krishna would be told, he would feel her presence there. That is the greatness of the sage Shuka. And his mission would be to propagate Srimad Bhagavatam. For that cause he was initiated by the sage Vedavyasa. So the parrot in his wanderings happens to hear Hari Katha being told by Shiva to Parvati. Shuka Maharshi, the parrot, hides amongst the leaves to hear the stories of Lord Krishna and Radha. Parvati was in the beginning intent on listening and responded with a but somewhere in the middle she dozed off, and Shuka Maharshi, in the assumption of Shiva might stop the narration, continued Parvati's Parvati suddenly woke up and apologized to him as she had dozed off, went in deep sleep, which left Shiva quizzical about who was uttering the Whenever the elderly person says to any story, the children used to say like that, no? Similarly, while Leelavati was narrating the stories of Lord Vishnu to his beloved son Prahlada, he was in the womb, was uttering like that. Even Dhruva. So many great devotees of Lord Vishnu used the word when they were in embryo of their mother. Shiva looked around the Shuka Maharshi hidden amongst the leaf. Angered that mere parrot had the audacity to hear the Bhagavatam, Shiva chased him with the Trishula with the intent to kill. The parrot entered the mouth of Vitika, who happened to be yawning at the very time. Yawning means like in Telugu, Avalinta. Vitika was the wife of Vedavyasa. Meanwhile, Shiva entered the hermitage and inquired about the parrot to Vedavyasa, who in turn inquired as to what the issue was. After the narration, Vedavyasa asked Shiva as to what the result was if one hears the Bhagavatam, to which Shiva replied that the soul becomes free from the cycle of birth and death and becomes eternal. Vyasa tells Shiva to let go now that the parrot was heard it, he cannot be killed. Hearing thus from Vedavyasa, Shiva realizes the truth, reality, and returns to his abode, Kailasa. It is said that Shuka Maharshi turned into a baby and was in the womb of his mother for 16 years, in comparison with the normal of 9 months. Some other version says it was 12 years. Shuka Maharshi lived a life of Digambara, without wearing any dress. He had no consciousness of the body. He had already become one with the nature and also was probably highly influenced by sage Ribhu, the sage Brigu, who too walked in bare minimum, as they too had no consciousness of the body. Such a people are called Digambaras. Diks are their ambaras, the directions are their cloths, garments. Shuka Maharshi used to walk around for alms, bhiksha, and he was known for not staying in a place for too long. He is often depicted with a green parrot head. Shuka Maharshi was a realized soul by birth and was greater than Vedavyasa himself. He attained oneness with nature early on his life to the extent that what Vedavyasa called out for him, the nature was said to have responded to the call. Such was his greatness. Once, when Shuka Maharshi passed some bathing celestial damsels who were sporting in the water without cloths covering them, he remained unmoved as he took no notice of them, nor they of him, though he was young, handsome, and unmarried. But when Vedavyasa followed behind Shuka Maharshi, Trying to catch up with him, the ladies hurriedly covered themselves up, although Vedavyasa, old and a rishi. Vedavyasa asked them why they took notice of an old man, whereas they took no notice for his young son. They then explained that Shuka Maharshi was a Samadrik, a person who saw no difference between man and woman, but that Vedavyasa had not yet reached that stage what the woman attained. Such was the spiritual plan he, Shuka Maharshi, dwelled on. Let us see his appearance. He is portrayed as a delicate and handsome person with skin color akin to Krishna. He is said to have a very pleasing personality and easily attracted everyone with his smile and his beautiful wide eyes. He had curly hair that fell on his slender neck that was beautiful like a conch shell. He is sometimes portrayed with a parrot head, as we see the many reasons as to why. There is yet another reason that seems more logical. The ancient sages did not often take samadhi in their physical form. They usually left the bodies and took forms of bird and smaller forms and wandered about in the world. It is said that those who seek them find them. Let us see his spiritual journey, Shuka Maharshi's. Vedavyasa wanted Shuka Maharshi to settle down in his Grihastha-ashrama, which was not agreeable to Shuka Maharshi. He was not keen on Grihastha, which according to him pulled him back to the samsara and the constant struggle with Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada and Matsarya. Means these called Arishat Varga. Inner 6 enemies. These are 6 enemies to inner body of a person, each and every person. One should conquer it, then only they can attain moksha. He preferred to skip that ashrama to continue on his spiritual journey. Vedavyasa sends him to King Janaka, who supports his decision after Shuka Maharshi convinced him that spiritual journey was his destination. Shuka Maharshi was said to have been knowledgeable right from the time he was in his mother's womb, to extent that it is said that God suspended the action of Maya 5 seconds so that he could be born. He had access to all the worlds, goes freely and comes, no restriction for him. But he was once denied entry to Vishnu Loka as he did not have a guru. In fact, he taught with Vedavyasa. As his father, he was above all that. So he asked his father as to who would be the perfect guru for him. When Vedavyasa pointed him to King Janaka, he could not understand how a householder could be a guru to a renunciate, means sannyasi, saint-like. It is believed that Shuka Maharshi was born as an avatara with 12 supernatural powers. Every time he went to King Janaka, he would return without getting initiated, as he was skeptical of the great king. Thus he would lose one of his supernatural power without his knowledge every time he returned from King Janaka. To guide him to the right path, sage Narada decided to help him. He disguised and took another form as an old man and started to throw baskets of sand into a river. Shuka Maharshi happened to see this. On inquiring, the old man told Shuka Maharshi that he was building a bridge. Shuka explained to the old man that it was not the way and that he had to use wood and stones and only later add the sand. The way he was building would only wash away the sand, which was put up with a lot of effort. At which sage Narada restored back that he was no better than Shuka Maharshi. To have lost his power, because of his heartiness. A stunned Rishi realizes his folly to see that old man and the river had disappeared. All of a sudden, Shuka Brahma Rishi. This article is an effort to consolidate and put forward the details of Shuka Brahma Rishi. There is no clear indication of his time period, but can be guessed. Him being son of great sage Vedavyasa. Many rishis and siddhas don't physically bury themselves after attaining the state of samadhi. Instead, they choose to merge themselves with the panchabhutam of prapancham or change their form and still exists. Shuka Brahmarshi is a great saint, or my belief, would have taken the form of a bird or any smaller living being. He is usually worshipped with a parrot face, and this could have been a reason for that. This is similar Pusandar and Shiva Vakyar, for whom there are no records of the physically buried sanctums. Pusundar, Kakai Pujandar, is believed to have taken the form of a crow whenever required. In this Kali Yuga, all rishis will bless from one single state, Jyotimayam or Jyotimayam. Many siddhas have not taken samadhi with their physical body. They have changed into arupam. Arupam means na rupam, no form. And from there changed into whatever forms they like. The forms they take usually birds and living things smaller than that, and still keeping roaming around with these new forms. One who thinks about them gets access and blessings from them. That's why we should not neglect any birds or anything, because there may be great sages like Shuka Maharshi. Vedavyasa and Shuka Brahma Rishi's preachings was when humans started changing his behavior from before. Most of the epics are secrets of our human's existence and manifestation using stories. Though some may debate that all of this really happened on a physical plane, let us not go there now. A classic example is when Shuka Brahmarshi talks to King Parikshit. During his last 7 days before his death, Parikshit was cursed to death by the sage's son due to his ill behavior, and said he will die on the 7th day due to snake bite. The snake name is called Takshaka. So the king decided to be in the company with great sages for these days and hear the truths in Vedas. Shuka Maharshi walking into the groups of sages still besides Parikshit. Shuka Maharshi placed before Raja Parikshit a picture of the cosmic being through whose person run all the levels of existence. 7 realms. 7 realms. Having described this wondrous structure of creation through every level which one has to pass in the process of spiritual evolution. The 7 lokas are Bhuloka, Bhuvaloka, Swarloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. These are all called 7 lokas, Saptalokas. The Satyaloka is the Sahasradharam in one's Shiras, mean Kabadam. Shuka asked Parikshit to consider himself as a soul which is identical with the universal soul. In that may you meditate, forget the idea that you are Parikshit, and when the snake comes and bites, let it bite the body. Shuka blessed and initiated Parikshit, and Parikshit sat in the deep meditation and unaware of the snake coming and biting him. It is said that the king attained liberation, mean moksha, perfect moksha after that. These stories always have a message to truth seekers, I mean those who search for Satya, Satyanveshin. The snake, 7 days, curse, etc. may have different meanings to it, and they are always associated to our internals than externals. Else, the 7 lokas of Vedas will have to be searched externally that never exist. All these are inside, and the search is inside. One other strength on Shuka Maharshi was in deep conditioning of mind. He was Digambara from young age itself. Though he tried to cover his natural glory, the great sages present there were all expert in the art of physiognomy, and so they honored him by rising from their seats. That's the respect given by all the sages to Shuka Maharshi. There was an instance when Shuka Maharshi walked near a lake where the ladies or kids bathing naked didn't even bother his presence. However, when Vyasa went to the place following his son, the ladies and kids covered themselves with dress due to shyness. It is believed that his conditioning had impact on others surrounding him. This conditioning could have been because of his gurus Ribu and Brig Maharshi. A little about Shuka Maharshi, Ribu Maharshi and Ribu Gita. This Gita is a part of Lord Shiva Rahasyam, 6th part, and reciting this can condition on to their core. Ribu, who did the strong penance, severe penance, dictated this to his prime disciple Nidagha. These songs were in Sanskrit and was recorded in leaves by Nidagha and Shuka Maharshi. Post that Nidagha named the Gita as Ribu Gita and stayed in Himalayas to continue his meditation. Shuka Maharshi carried these leaves and travelled south towards Suruli hills and continued his deep meditation. From there, he headed to Chaturgiri and preached this Gita to many sages there. The Mahabharata also recounts how Shuka was sent by Vyasa for training to King Janaka, who was considered to be Jivan Mukta, or one who is liberated whilst in a body. It's very rare except Shuka. And his own father Vyasa. Shuka asked Janaka about the way to liberation, with Janaka recommending the traditional progression of the 4 ashramas, which included the householder stage, Grihastha. After expressing contempt for the householder life, Shuka questioned Janaka about the real need for following the householder path. Seeing Shuka's advanced state of realization, Janaka told him that there was no need in his ease or in his case. Stories recount how Shuka surpassed come across his father in spiritual attainment. Once, when following his son, Vyasa encountered a group of celestial nymphs, apsaras, who were bathing. Shuka's purity was such that the nymphs did not consider him to be a distraction, even though he was naked, but covered themselves when faced with his father. Shuka is sometimes portrayed as wandering about naked due to his complete lack of self-consciousness. A completely different version of the later life of Shuka is given in Devi Bhagavatam Purana, considered a secondary Purana, Upapurana by many, but an important work in the Shakta tradition, who follows the devotion towards Shakti. In this account, Shuka is convinced by Janaka to follow the ashrama tradition and returns home to marry and follow the path of yoga. He has 5 children with his wife Piravi, 4 sons and a daughter. The story concludes in the same vein as the common tradition, with Shuka achieving moksha. A place called Shukachari is believed to be the cave of Shuka, where he disappeared in cave stones as per local traditions. Shuka in Sanskrit means a parrot, and thus the name is derived from the large number of parrots found around the Sukachari hills. Sukachari literally means abode of parrots in the Sanskrit language. Thus, the sage Shuka, son of Vedavyasa, had a major role in our Hindu mythological literature. He was considered to the greatest sage who made the king Parikshit to attain moksha within 7 days of preaching Bhagavata in 7 days. Thus, we had to bow down to the sage Shuka with deep devotion to get his blessings to fulfill our desires and ambition. Let us conclude. Shri Kantaya Kalyana Nidhe Nidhe Dhram Shri Venkatnivasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangalasasana Prabhadacharya Progamaihi Sarvesha Purvairacharya Sakrutaya Stu Mangalam.